Okay, so I am headed back to the airport. I'm going to be dropping this 2025 Ram 3500 Laramie truck off. This is a four-wheel drive truck. It has a 430 horsepower, 1,075 pound-feet of torque Cummins diesel engine paired to a TorqueFlite 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a really, really cool truck, and I got a lot to talk about. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've had this truck again for 4 days, and I'm going to tell you honest feedback in a couple different categories. First of all, driving impressions. I love the way the truck drives. It is a bit rougher in terms of suspension firmness than my F450. I can't really recall exactly how I would stack it up to like a GMC Denali Dually or any of those because it's been a while since I've driven those. I can tell you that like on a highway like this, very comfortable, very smooth, don't have any issues. But the minute you start hitting some expansion joints, some little bumps in the road, things like that, or you go over a bigger bump, you definitely feel that super firm rear suspension because there are a ton of leaf springs back there. Again, if you've watched the other videos, you'll know this truck has over 5,400 pounds worth of cargo capacity, which if you have a truck like this, you're going to automatically know they're not going to have really smooth rides because they are meant to have a tremendous amount of payload capacity in the back of the truck. The minute you add 1,000 pounds plus to the back, probably even a little more than that, you start compressing those leaf springs and it's going to ride a lot smoother. This truck does not have any type of air supplemental suspension either, so it is purely a leaf sprung rear suspension, and it's firm just like any dually. But I will admit my 450 does have smoother suspension in the back. I don't know if it's more apt to sag under weight. I don't really know. I'd have to, put the same amount of weight in the back of this, and I'm not going to have the truck to be able to do that. But yes, this truck does ride a little rougher in the back. The front feels pretty much the same as my 450. Again, really firm suspension, coil sprung, solid axle up front. And yeah, but driving dynamics overall for me, I like it. I like this truck. I like the way it feels. It is a very easy truck to control, and it just has a really, really good overall driving impression on me, which I like. Now, in terms of turning radius, this truck does not turn nearly as tight as my 450. This turns like a standard dually would turn. If I had a 350, it would be a very, very similar turning experience. Same with the General Motors truck. The turning angle on this truck is okay, but it's not exceptional. And I consider having the wide track front axle, whether you get it on the Ram 4500, 5500, or the Ford F450 up, that having that increased turning angle is really, really nice. And this truck does not turn nearly as sharp as the 450. Now, here is an area that I think actually matters to folks, because it does matter to me. Does this truck feel more like a truck than my truck, my 2024 F450 Platinum? And I would have to say yes. I actually really like the truck feel that I get with this Ram. When you walk up to it, when you get inside of it, when you start it, you hear that Cummins come to life. The ride itself, the interior look, it does not feel like a truck that's trying to be an SUV. It does not feel like a truck that's trying to be a luxury vehicle per se. It feels like a really well-equipped luxury truck. It feels, sounds, drives, expresses itself as a truck. There's no hiding that at all. The taller hood, the overall body lines to it, the seats, the steering wheel, the look on the inside screams truck. And that actually matters to me. When I have a vehicle, I want to know that it's fitting in the category and it's not trying to identify as a different type of vehicle. That makes sense. I personally really love where this truck fits in the spectrum of what it is. And the reality at the end of the day is, if I'm buying a big dually truck, it's not just to tow my fifth wheel or my Gooseneck trailer. I want to feel special in it. I want to feel like I'm driving a big, brutally honest truck that has a tremendous amount of capability. So driving this truck, especially through kind of inclement weather, I've been through a lot of rain and a lot of, adverse weather, I feel safe. I feel as if I'm in a vehicle that's wrapping me in a layer of truck protection, if that makes sense. I know, again, to some people that may be totally a stupid concept, but I think a lot of truck owners can appreciate that. That's why a lot of people leave comments. It's a truck. Treat it like a truck. The normal tailgate, not having a tailgate with a step inside of it. The normal aspect of this vehicle that isn't over the top like you're starting to see with a lot of vehicles. is actually appealing to me in some ways. If I got one of these, I would almost want it in like a tradesman edition. Just the roots of a work truck that you can work the hell out of, has a ton of capability, a tremendous amount of towing capability, payload capability, is comfortable, and it knocks the job out while still giving you just the right amount of technology to make you feel as if you're getting what you're paying for. Power windows, power door locks, you know, a small touch screen, which you really don't even need that, but still having a smaller touch screen on there, backup camera, things that all kind of come in handy, rear parking sensors, stuff that regardless of what your take is on vehicles and what you should get with them, these are things that you just kind of expect nowadays. You know, having radar cruise control doesn't really bother me. Having leather seats, massaging seats, stuff like that, those aren't requirements. They're nice to have if you're hauling an RV and you want the travel experience to be as nice as the camping experience, and you want that luxury wrapped around it all. But at the end of the day, a lot of times it just comes down to wanting capability for a job. And you know, I've driven a lot of Tradesman Edition Ram trucks at the very early onset of my channel to today, and there's an honesty, there's a reality about those types of trucks that you don't get with high-trim luxury vehicles. You don't get that feeling that I can take this truck to anything I want to do with it. I'm not worried about the interior getting dirty. I'm not worried about scratching plastic or tearing leather. I'm not worried about LED headlights. I'm not worried about a lot of these things that are nice to have on a luxury vehicle, but absolutely may bring zero value to you from a work truck perspective. You know, I do like power door locks. I like power windows. I like keyless entry. I like remote start. And this road actually is a prime example of what I was talking about earlier, where you can hear it in my voice, because this road is kind of, it's not really even that bumpy, but you can feel the rear suspension kind of bobbing you around a little bit. And this is an area where I just don't feel it as much in my truck. So that's probably the best way of saying it. Right now you can hear my voice kind of modulating as I go over these little ruts, and you can kind of see them too in the camera. And as I go over them, I mean, if I make a humming noise, you feel it in your throat. You feel it because it's moving you around. And again, I don't feel that as much in my F450. So for sure, the rear suspension on this truck is firmer. Now, if it had a higher end suspension like you might get on a Limited, which you might be able to get supplemental airbags, they may help a little bit. But in reality, supplemental airbag simply means a truck that has airbags that are added to whatever normal suspension system's in place, like leaf springs plus airbags. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe Ram Heavy Duty with a dually has options for only air suspension in the rear. I believe it's only supplemental. I could be wrong, but right now as it sits, I still like the truck, I like the ride, but I'm sure ready to get off of a road that has a bunch of bumps in it like this, if that makes sense. But getting back to topic, I love the honesty, I love the rawness of a dually truck in a more base configuration. I really do. Now, I love the look of this truck externally. The Alcoa wheels, the blacked out trim, all of that. I think this truck looks absolutely incredible. So maybe mixing like a Tradesman Edition with a really, really beautiful appearance package on the outside is the key to a lot of people. They want the truck to look great. There's people that have work trucks, but they'll put custom wheels on it. They'll put all sorts of external accessories. But in some cases, you want that outside to look super, super nice. But on the inside, you want it to be pretty plain. You want it to be kind of normal. You don't want it to be over the top. You want to be able to get it dirty and not worry about it. So I hope that all makes sense. At the end of the day, I've had a lot of fun with this truck. It's super cool to see, you know, have a truck from a luxury package with that Limited Longhorn that I had, that had 1,910 odd pounds worth of cargo capacity because it was such a high trim, but it was a 2500 with full rear air suspension. But then moving from that to a truck that still has a beautiful interior loaded with tech, not as much tech, not as many, you know, cool technology features, but has over 5,400 pounds worth of cargo capacity and over 36,000 pounds worth of towing capacity and over 23,000 pounds worth of conventional towing capacity off of the bumper. You know, so going across that spectrum of vehicles is pretty dang cool. And I'm going to tell you, if it were my money, I would save the $14,000, not get the $100,000 Limited Longhorn, and I would opt for this $86,000 and change Ram Laramie 3500 dually, because this to me is a truck. It's a real truck. I don't care if you are negative against Ram and you're like, that thing will break down on you. That doesn't happen. I mean, yes, all vehicles can break down. Shoot, I'm dealing with my own problems with my GMC. I've had problems with Ford. They all have issues at times, but the reality is a lot of folks using these for hot shots and for commercial work, they're getting 250, 300, 400, 500,000 miles out of them without any major issues. Now, I can't say that about trucks that are 15, 20 years old, because there were other issues, right? The materials they used in the dash, they cracked and they broke under excessive UV light and exposure. But nowadays, everything's built pretty dang well on the inside. These interiors hold up well. They hold really, really well against UV exposure. They look really good, more soft touch materials. It's just better overall. And I think most people who have newer trucks, let's just say within the last 10 years, have been pretty impressed with them and stay pretty brand loyal as long as the manufacturer doesn't make any crazy changes, you know, like getting rid of a Hemi. But thankfully they brought that back, so I hope you saw the announcement on that. Anyways, guys, I'm going to drop this truck off. I love it. It is an absolutely great truck. I would absolutely love to do a longer term evaluation of one of these, have it for a couple of months, just park it next to the 450, and after 2 months, what truck do I go outside and gravitate towards driving? That'd be a cool video series. Anyways, guys, please drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. You know, let's get the bias out of it. If we're not brand loyal, and we're not going to say that I have to knock on everything Ram because I own a Ford or a Chevy, or I have to knock on Ford because I own a Chevy or a Ram, let's get that out of the equation. What do you think of this truck from a pure rawness perspective, from what it's designed to do and how it effectively or ineffectively does that based on your experience or what you've seen or heard? Anyways, guys, again, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and we'll talk to you again very soon.